Hello.
Yep. The whole purpose of this channel is to remain unprofessional. Don't you think?
Is to remain what?
Unprofessional.
Well,
As
I think
much as
we're
possible.
succeeding.
Yeah, that's one of the principles of AA and AA meetings is to forever remain unprofessional. That's one of the 12 principles. So that we may never organize or have endorsements or endorse anything or have any leaders or anything. It's one of the key principles of AA is that nobody's in charge ever. It's forbidden, and God forbid they refuse. They will not take, like, if you're rich and you leave money to them, they have a limit, I think, of like $3,000. You can't leave any more to AA than that. So they're not even beholden to their dead members, which is kind of interesting. We want to raise that up a little. I'm not sure if they have with inflation, but anyway. But that's kind of a cool, when you think about it, that's a really cool way. If you adhere to the principles of AA, it will forever not evolve. They keep it from turning into something, that you don't want, which is kind of cool. So, what's up? Oh, I know what's up. Oh, we were gonna review the talk yesterday. So Nitty did a stream on it, and I listened to because number one, Nitty, fuck you. I don't know what N-Damon is, and I have 55-inch monitors. I look at your little tiny icon on a 55-inch monitor, it's really tiny. And I didn't know that it was you. And I'm like, who the hell's this N-Damon guy? And then I go and look for your channel, and I click on my link that I had for your channel for years, and it says, oh, page not found. It's like, no, okay. And Scott came up with a wonderful idea. Type in N_Damon. And it's like, holy shit. He named his fucking channel N_Damon? No, Nitty. No. Stop. So anyway, Nitty did a really good video. And what I listened to, he just got it spot on. Right for a to kill a lion then or something like that. You remember that one? Hey, James. So, James, I gave you a link. I sent it to you in your email.
Yeah, we need to have James in here.
Yeah, tried calling.
He had some opinions.
In chat?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I've got, let's see, where the hell is that? Where the fuck is that? Where the fuck is that? Here's our chat. Remaining unprofessional, our goal. Okay, so Scott has Wi-Fi problems, and Damon said, "Prove it." No, I think he's responding to something we said, and I'm not sure what it was. So I'm not gonna watch the chat and listen at the same time. We could do that. And then he said, Speed, you need to get me on to instruct you on Christianity. I think so. I'd love to have you on. Did he? Let's see. And he's already pissed. Only the best people go to hell. Happy to overpower a bad person. Well, what do we got here? Scott, you want to help me out? You were in chat, right? So you were doing this. Yes, it
can. Yeah, I was mostly greeting a few people. I was commenting on Ryan's statements. He would say something and I would react to it.
Yep.
Kind of out of context.
You said yes, it can because it exists in language. Unfortunately, Ryan is becoming a language Nazi. So, hey, Kentucky Atheist is here. Hi there.
Basically,
And
he was saying we couldn't call something right or wrong without some sort of objective reference, or that right or wrong is subjective. And so I was saying, yes, we can use right or wrong. It exists in language, and there's a context for using it. Don't try to narrow the possible connotations that words can be used.
Yeah. So the whole thing about, okay, then is it wrong for a lion to kill a lion, right? Well, I'm not a lion. So I'm not going to have a judgment about that, right? I may have a judgment about lions. I may think, it may be my personal feeling that lions should never kill other lions, and it really offends me. And if it's subjective morality, then then to me it is wrong. To the next guy, it's not wrong. But, it doesn't amount to a hill of beans for humans to think about lions killing each other unless you have a pride of lions in your backyard. It's not a problem for you, right? That lions are killing each other out in the savannah somewhere. You see what I mean? This whole thing with morality. Well, first of all, let's try to think about what is morality. What is it really? And what I've come up with is something like this. Let's see, where are we here? My bad, you know. Okay, so we have the set of all animals, right? All human beings, all animals, they're all in that set. I'm here, you're there, Dave, you're there, Scott. We're all animals. And then we have the set of all actions that us animals can do, can plan to do, or did do in the past, or are doing currently, right? What we're doing right now. Hang on a second. Hold on a second.
Or do you want to send it to him?
I was going to open this up. Yeah. Okay. As I was trying to explain, we're going to open it up here. Did Leo want to come in? Did he ask? Who the fuck's Leo?
Yeah, he said no linky link, question mark.
Oh, there he is. Okay. Not yet. Okay, back to my explanation. So we have all animals, and we have all possible actions that an animal can take, and that includes getting a drink of water. So that's a lot of actions, right, that you could take, did take, or are taking currently. So we have three different things. And then we have something that Lance Independent points out in his subjective morality, I think, and that is the context. So the context of where you're doing your action. Okay, I'm shooting another human being. Okay, so that's me. I'm one of these animals. Here's my action. I'm shooting another human being. What is the context? The other human being has an axe raised above my head. He's about to chop me in half, right? That's the context. Is that right or wrong? We don't know it's right or wrong unless we have the context, right? Do we know it's right or wrong if we don't know the animal? If we don't know which person it is, what country they live in, what culture, and we don't know if it's right or wrong if we don't know what the action is. So what you end up with here is a Cartesian product, which is right here, where you take, for all animals, you would create a little array. So you have all animals on this side, and oh my God, I better just draw it because it's going to go away on me. Okay. So let's say we have a two-dimensional array, and we have all animals here, and we have all actions here. So every place on this array we have a point, right, that matches an action to an animal, and then we have a third dimension right here, which is context. So for every context and animal and action, we have a point on this array. So if we have 9 animals, Or no, let's do something simple because I'm going to confuse myself. We don't want to do that, right? We don't want to see that shit. Confused old man, nope. Don't want to see that. Okay, so we have 3 animals, we have 3 actions, and we have 3 contexts. So we have 3 times 3 times 3 different possibilities. So we have 9 possibilities. You follow it? Does everybody know what a Cartesian product is? Are we good with that? That's what it is. You take these 3 sets and you multiply them together, and you end up with, if you have n items here, n items there, n items there, you'll end up with 9 possibilities. So if we lived in a universe where there were only 9 actions, then we could define a morality on those 9 actions, because some subset of this group that we're talking about is going to be a moral action. So, I mean, something that we can apply morality to, meaning that we can say it's a binary, it's either good or bad. Okay. So that defines it in a very, very mathematical and precise form. Do you agree?
Very precise.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Scott doesn't agree. Okay, we got Daniel. Okay, I want to pay attention to the chat. So
I'm following you,
Alicia.
but I was distracted.
Okay. But you already know what a Cartesian product is, Scott. So
Yeah, but Susan Tarpon points out
27. I'm sorry. Okay. See? Confused old man. That's what we have here. So yeah, we have 27 points.
Well, here's James.
That's correct.
Apperson to unconfuse.
Hey there, guys. I'm just here to look pretty and to be seen on screen at the same time with important people.
Oh,
all right.
My agent says I need more exposure with people that matter, so here I am.
Well, to me, I'm like the most important person in the world. So you're lucky. You're with a really important person.
Exactly.
Because for my subjective morality, but my subjective view, I am the most important person in the world.
And you're so popular, you just passed 700 subs. Congratulations.
Yeah, I think we got 702, I think. Yeah. Something like that. Okay. So, Daniel, we have Zerovok. Zerovok?
I always say zero vote, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Zerovok. Okay, who's the smart ass that corrected me? Susan. Thank you. We'll call you a smart ass. And Kentucky Atheist. Should we throw the link out there?
Well, yeah, my agent says, please bring more people that matter onto the screen with me. Maybe Leo and maybe Nitty if they show up. Who else? Yeah. Who else we got?
Yep.
You got Joe, the Kentucky Atheist.
Oh, yeah, Joe's here. Awesome. I don't know if you can get him on here. He's pretty important. He might not feel like like being on here with us, but you know, it's nice to know that he's here.
And Rochelle's here. Michael's here.
Okay, I'm putting a link out there, and we're probably not going to get to the stuff we wanted to get to if we do put the link out there. You know that, right?
I'm just to hear it look pretty, so you still got a chance at it.
We were going through. Let's see. Okay,
James is in a great mood today. That's good to hear.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Where are we here? General discourse. Pepperonis on ice cream is wrong. Is not a statement of all reality. Oh, you put the link up? Okay, let me pin that.
Yeah, I did put some links in various studios.
So, B.S. Lewis asked if it's always wrong to kick puppies, and my answer is it depends on if it's your team's turn or not.
Yeah. Right. I love it. Oh, pin message. Yeah, you know, these gotcha questions, right? Like you start talking about what morality is, and then they come up with these gotcha questions without any analysis at all or without any context. And that is it's a rhetorical trick to make you seem evil if you say that it's okay to kick puppies, right? And like if the puppy is chewing on your toddler, it is okay to kick a puppy, right? If he's like ripping your toddler's face off.
If you want to nitpick, you can take apart any objective claim with an exception. However, yeah, generally though, yeah, it's accepted. You don't hurt puppies.
Oh,
it could be diseased, rabid or something, and then there is a
reason to kick a puppy.
Yeah, or put it down. You know what I mean? For the betterment of everyone. The animal and everyone else.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. You fundies seem to have a hard time with context and nuance. There you go, Scott. You caught it.
Yeah.
With that comment. Oh, legit live stream. Yeah, okay, it's a legit live stream. So pineapple on pizza is right. Yeah, instead of, philosophers always go to this torturing babies. Leave the babies alone. Use pineapples on pizza.
That's a Frank Turek special.
Yeah. Well, no, all philosophers do it. They do it. But every time they talk about morality, you'll find something about torturing babies. And my question is, why is that right on top of your mind?
And if you wanted to nitpick it, there would be ways to nitpick that there would be an exception that.
It's not that it's on top of their minds. It's that they're taking something that generally is universally going to be considered wrong by the vast majority of people.
Yeah, I still question why they even thought of it. Like universally wrong. To me,
not that it's universally wrong, but that universally people consider it wrong. That most people consider torturing babies strictly for fun to be something that is wrong, something you ought not do, all things considered. That's why it's
torturing adults and murdering adults. Those are good examples too, because nobody.
But those don't tug the strings as much as babies do, clearly, which is why that's
right. Because they want something rhetorically powerful.
Exactly.
To throw you off their scent.
Right. So my response to that is always, it depends. If it's a Babylonian baby and you've got a big rock handy, happy as anyone who smashes that baby against the rocks. So it's really all context dependent.
Oh, you're going back to the Old Testament?
Going back old school Testament.
Old school Testament. Yeah, it's okay.
The thing is, though, most Christians don't really care what the Old Testament has to say. They care what the New Testament has to say.
Yeah,
true. I mean, there's some cherries in there they like to pick, but yeah, you're right.
Well, you would have to give them just the nature of the Bible. There are some who will say, "Oh yeah, the Old Testament is very important. It's just as important as any scripture."
Oh no, they'll acknowledge that it's important.
Then you start whittling away.
That's not where the lessons come from.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just such a bad argument anyways, because basically Jesus' position was, hey, you're no longer obligated to have fun torturing babies against rocks if they're Babylonian babies. But he never said you should stop enjoying that sport. He just said, you're not obligated to it anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that's more Paul saying that, isn't it, than Jesus?
We actually don't know what Jesus said because, he died.
Well, yeah. Jesus leaned more, towards the Judaism, and
Jesus was Jewish.
Yeah, he kept to it, and he said that the law doesn't pass away, and etc. So there are things that he's still going with the Old Testament, but Paul seems to be the one that said, you don't have to follow all these things anymore, all the many, many, many of the 600 some rules. Just follow Jesus and you're good.
Joe, the Kentucky Atheist, has joined us. How about that? From Kentucky, I'm guessing.
Hello, Joe.
What's up, guys?
Hey, are you in Kentucky?
Yeah.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Well, Kentucky is a beautiful damn place, really beautiful. But why in the hell isn't that where, like, CIG located there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I always say it's beautiful as long as you don't talk to the people.
really good. Yeah,
Except Joe. Except Joe. He's all right.
No, leave me the fuck alone if you come here.
I used to go out with a girl from Kentucky, and that's all she'd ever say to me is, "You ain't right. You ain't right.
Ain't right.
Oh yeah.
You ain't right."
I don't
That's
fuck my
about everything
cousins.
I came up with. She said that, and I'm not sure what she meant by that. What do you think she meant by that?
The same as bless your heart.
Bless your heart. Yeah. So Nitty came up with another one here after he says, "Okay, if someone's saying this is wrong, you press them for always. You ask them, is it always wrong? Is it always wrong to murder somebody? Is it always wrong to kick a puppy? Is it always wrong to put pineapples on pizza? Yes, that one's obviously always wrong, right?
Right. Only pork goes on pizza.
So my question is, why don't they use pineapples on pizzas instead of torturing babies?
Because that's not a moral statement.
In the Old Testament. Yeah, right. Okay, that's the other thing, Leo, that I tried to call him on is, okay, they'll say, oh, then it's just a preference. No, a preference is I like pineapples on pizza. Okay, that's
Well, I think morality is preference based, but I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I don't see why I should think that's problematic.
Yeah, but it's more than a preference. It's powerfully hooked into your limbic system and into the very nature of how your fucking mind and brain works.
That is not how I view morality.
Well, that's not how you view it, but it's how I view it, Leo, because I know a little bit about the neuroscience of this shit. And I know that when you have a moral action, something that you're going to feel guilty for, or something that's going to affect what we call our conscience, something that's going to haunt you into the future, fucking pineapples on pizza ain't going to do that. It's going to leave a bad taste in your mouth for a few minutes. Interestingly, taste and morality are related. But anyway, so we'll agree to disagree on that one.
Well, I mean, yeah, but we'll agree to disagree with what most philosophers who talk about morality think. They don't think that neuroscience has anything to do with it. And I agree.
I was reading the SEP today, and I'm telling you, on morality. And I get really impatient with philosophers sometimes. It's like, come on, let's talk about what is right there in front of your eyes, what's right out there. Let's talk about fucking reality.
Honestly, it surprises me to hear that. I don't know. Like, I'm not plugged into that ecosystem like Leo is, but it surprises me to hear that they're saying it has nothing to do with something like neurophysiology. Like,
it's because it doesn't. Just like whether you prefer red cars or blue cars has like almost nothing to do with the underlying neurophysiology of your brain. That's rooted in a higher level.
Why would that be? How in the hell would you like red cars or blue cars if it had nothing to do with your brain?
I didn't say it had nothing to do with the brain. I said it had nothing to do with the neurophysiology of the brain. It sits at a higher level.
N. Damons is in the chat there, Mike.
Oh. Yeah, and Damons.
And hello, Top Dog.
You started all this.
Yeah, really. I say Top Dog's in my chat. Haven't seen you lately. Good to see you, Top Dog.
What? I'm confused. Why are people supposed to be mad at Nitty? Did Nitty do or say something? Like what? I'm so confused.
Yeah, he changed his channel.
I don't really know because he did a stream about it to our stream, but we haven't watched it yet. And of course, the intent of this stream was to go through that, but I think we need to get Nitty on here and he can just tell us his critiques. He can kind of do an outline of our stream, and I would love to see him do that.
I've got his video up. I have the N. Damon's video up. So
yeah, I watched about 3 minutes of Nitty's. I watched about 3 minutes of Nitty's video, and he was so fucking spot on. That pisses me off too, Nitty. So anyway, I mean, you made so much sense in 3 minutes of my 1 hour talk with Ryan that I'm irritated with you.
You should host a talk between me and him on morality. That would be really, really fun.
You and Ryan?
He said a lot of extremely wrong things.
Yeah,
and nobody pressed him on how if you think morality is rooted in God, that's subjectivism.
Well, he wouldn't come right out and say that.
No theist would. That doesn't mean it's not true.
Right. Yeah, and I didn't want to. Basically, I was choosing path, and here's what the discussion was about yesterday. He was supposed to show me how with my worldview, how my morality is contradictory. How basically I can't have morality because I'm an atheist. He was supposed to show that, and I don't know.
They never do because they can't.
Oh,
Because
right.
that's not
They
how it
can't.
works.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the whole point. I didn't want to get off track. Like the first talk I had with him, he went off on the C virus, and I didn't follow that lead, right? He went off on this talk. He went off on a number of tangents, including evolution, and I didn't want to get off track because that's what they do. They throw a little chum in the water, and we're like fucking sharks, and we chase the chum, right? And I just wanted to keep it straight. So I wanted him to tell me how my view is contradictory, and I wanted to very carefully explain my view. Like, we're always in this place where, oh, Christians, you have the burden of proof. No, atheists, you do. Blah, 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 back and forth. Basically, I wanted to open up and answer his questions for him about morality under a naturalistic worldview. And that was it. That's what the discussion was about. Okay, who's Daniel? Does anybody know Daniel? Okay, there's no reason for me to feel bad about anything.
Daniel, my brother.
What?
I was
Okay.
thinking of the exact same.
Well, I mean, Daniel can think that way if morality is subjective, but I don't think that way. I don't think that's true at all. It's kind of just a claim there. But I mean, if that's how Daniel specifically feels about it, I can't, really change that. But I don't think that perspective is correct.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can't change that.
It is morality because it is a stance that you do feel bad about if you violate it. If you violate your feels, your moral corpus, for whatever reason, it's normal to feel bad about it. And to say, well, that's not real or that's not based on anything, that's just not true. It's not objective. It's not based on a God or some foundational source of moral statements or norms. It's based on corpus that you have, that you get from culture, that you get from family, from your own reasoning, maybe your own personal growth out of. But it doesn't mean it's not real. It doesn't mean it's not valid. It just means that it comes about a different way than theists fantasize about.
So I think Daniel's asking me, why do I think that? Okay, so let's go back to Daniel's first comment here. If morality is subjective, you see, here's the interesting part. There is no reason for me to feel bad, okay?
No doubt.
That's where they go off the rails, okay? Morality isn't about sitting around and reasoning, even though you reason in order to not do something wrong or right. Okay, so reason has some effect, but you don't need a reason to feel bad about doing bad things. When you do bad things, you simply feel bad because you are an organism. You are a fucking biological organism, and you don't feel bad if you do bad things. It's that simple.
But I don't think that rape is bad because I'm an organism. I think rape is bad because it goes against my preferences.
I think it's bad because I'm an organism.
Yeah, that just doesn't even seem explanatory to me.
And it ain't a fucking preference not to rape. But like if I were to rape
I think
somebody,
it is. And then I think that's why there's people that do rape, because they have a preference for it.
They have a preference. Yeah, they basically go against the grain of what is happening inside of them internally.
But you're assuming that they have some like internal problem there where it's like they know that rape is wrong, but they want to do it anyway. I don't know what it means for somebody to desire X but think X is wrong.
Okay, I know that there is something that makes it wrong for them because I know what the nature of their biology is.
Yeah, but rape being right or wrong doesn't have anything to do with biology. It has to do with our preferences.
Well, we have to agree to disagree there, Leo, because I think it has everything to do with your biology.
That's fine. Almost nobody in the working in the field of moral philosophy thinks that. I feel comfortable sitting within the consensus.
You're appealing to authority.
No, I'm pointing out that the authorities, the overwhelming majority of them, disagree with that. You can still believe whatever you want to believe. That's fine.
Yeah, well, the authorities are so much smarter than I am. But
I mean, I have thoughts on that. Who cares, right? You know, if somebody appeals to a scientific authority, right? A historian as an authority. That's their wheelhouse. They've spent decades studying this stuff. They know things you probably don't know, right? But you're talking about a philosopher. It's just a bunch of men talking about how they think and how they reason in the world and comparing it to other people's way of thinking and having little pissing contests
Why
about
do
how
they
you
all
use
agree?
language. In that particular, I don't know why they. I don't. First of all, I don't know that they all agree. Second
They
of all,
do.
even if they, okay, well, that's great. That all the card-carrying official philosophers in the world are all what, moral anti-realists?
No, actually, most of them are moral realists.
So on what do they ground their moral realism then?
I don't know. It's probably going to be different for every philosopher you ask. Some are going to be moral naturalists. Some are going to be moral non-naturalists. Some are going to be some form of moral Platonist. It depends on the philosopher you're asking. But moral
Right.
realism
So
is a broader meta-ethical view. It's not a specific ethical framework.
So what do you think the grounding might be? That if you go to a doctor in America and ask them to heal you in some way, that on the list of things they're allowed to do with you or to you is not included setting you on fire or punching you in the face. Now, if you go to Europe or if you go to some place in the remote places of Africa, they're probably going to have the same rules. If they have any kind of official healthcare and the ethics about the healthcare, don't do harm is considered to be a self-explanatory idea, and it being a good idea is also considered to be universal in the healthcare industry around the world. And they didn't have to get together and argue about that first. So what do you think their grounding is?
Sure, what you mean by grounding? That's somewhat of a vague concept to me.
What are they basing it on? How is it that they all
What is who
arrived at the
basing
same
what on?
idea? The healthcare industry across the world, how is it that they all agreed on these ideas without even having to talk to each other first, really,
Well, how do we
about
know
what
they didn't
counts
talk
as
to each other? How do we know that there weren't discussions across various
I'm
people
sure
in
there
the
were
medical
some.
field to
I'm
determine
sure
what
there
are the
were
best
some.
practices?
Right. But if it came down, here's the thing though. If the result were contingent upon them having those discussions, then consistent with human nature, there would be disagreements. If that's really what it depends
I think there are
upon.
disagreements, even now,
I don't think
about
there's
what are the best practices. I think one of the perfect examples of that disagreement is when it comes to trans-related healthcare. I think that there are certain professionals who have disagreements about the best practices with dealing with that. Now, some of
but that's
those may not agree with how I view it, but that
Right.
doesn't remove the fact that there's disagreement.
Okay. All right. I get what you're saying, but you're not getting what I'm saying. Well, anybody else want to weigh in on this? Should we just move on?
We can move on. Hey,
That's fine.
What about this question
I
Daniel
have a
has here?
question.
Oh, go ahead.
So, how are we defining morality in this conversation? Because
I define
specifically-
morality as the reasoning related to how we want other people to act and behave. The means through which we prescribe the actions and the behaviors that which we want people to either do or not do.
So it would be fair to say that if we're talking about subjective and objective morality, then we're talking only to those individuals that are capable of having an opinion on it, correct?
I don't think so, no.
That's what you said.
No.
Okay, give me your definition of morality one more time.
Reasoning
Maybe I
about
misunderstood.
reasoning about how we want ourselves and others to act and behave. What it is that we want others to do or not to do, all things considered.
Okay. All right. Never mind the other thing. So is the argument here that there is no objective morality in any way?
I would say there is no such thing as objective morality. In fact, I would go as far as to say that I think the whole concept is incoherent.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think that as it applies to religion, there can be no objective morality because it fails definitionally to, even describe objective. But that aside, in cases such as what you guys brought up a few minutes ago, such as rape, what is any situation to where that is not not immoral?
I would say in the instance where raping one person could save the lives of 1,000 people, one ought to rape in that instance, all things considered. Doesn't matter if the hypothetical is contrived. It's still a
That's
hypothetical in
incoherent,
which it's
though.
not. What's incoherent about it?
That harming someone through the act of rape saves lives of other people.
Yeah, but that's being granted
and-
as part of the hypothetical. In such
Yes.
an instance, it would be okay to rape. That's what you ought to do.
Well,
all
here's the
things
problem with that. Here's the problem with that, because the person that is being raped in that case wouldn't be capable of being like the person that is being assaulted in the case. You're saying would be wrong then for not wanting to be assaulted?
No, what the person's opinion on being raped is not a factor I'm considering. I'm just giving an example of an instance in which rape wouldn't be wrong by my standards. And that would be an instance where raping one person saves the lives of 1,000. It doesn't matter whether that's a realistic scenario or whether that would actually happen. The point of the hypothetical isn't to be realistic. It's to demonstrate that there could be instances in which rape could be considered acceptable.
Yeah, see, I'm not on page with that at all, because I think, first of all, how they feel about it is directly relevant, because
So
if
you
they're
think
welcoming
1,000
it,
people should die?
First of
save
all, if they're
one
welcoming it, okay. All right, we can skip to that instead. That's fine. Absolutely, I would not consider it to be acceptable to sexually assault somebody against their will.
Okay, hold on.
In order to save 1,000 people, is let the 1,000 people die, because I'm not responsible for what other people do. I'm only responsible for what I do. And if I have to do a serious injury to one person in order to save 1,000 other people from someone or something else, well, then they're just gonna have to die.
We
I have something to add to that.
hold on. We have a request. Can we replace that with murder?
No.
Because it's not
no,
as
but
it doesn't impart as much rhetorical power as rape does.
Yeah, why is
That's the
that?
whole
Why
point.
is that, Leo?
Because
Let's talk
we
about
don't
why
like
that is.
rape. Rape is
Why
a
is
terrible
that?
thing in the eyes of almost every human. That's why.
And murder isn't? Like, to you, murder's okay?
I would
Murder is a
rather,
legal term.
if you're asking me personally, I would rather be killed than be raped.
You personally.
Murder
Yeah, me
is-
personally, yeah, and I know a lot of other people who think the same way.
Murder
It's
is a legal
it's
term.
really
I
fucking easy.
consider rape to be worse than murder.
okay.
Me personally.
Okay, when I say murder, you can do whatever you want inside your mind to give it more emotional import. But that was exactly my point. Why neurologically it is wrong to do, because it has
know
a
what that
bigger
means.
place in your mind than murder even.
What does
And
it
has
mean
a
for
much
something to
bigger
be
place than
neurologically
pineapple
wrong?
on pizza. Are you over talking me?
I'm
Okay.
trying to understand your terminology. I don't know what you
I'm
mean.
trying to
when you say
understand.
something
I'm
is
trying to understand
neurologically
why
wrong.
you make a distinction between the R word and the M word, right? Why is the R word a better, more powerful example to you if it has nothing to do with
I
the limbic
explained why.
system, nothing to do with emotion? Why is it more wrong?
I didn't say it had nothing to do with emotion. I don't know where you're getting that from.
Okay, you said it had nothing to do with neurology.
Yeah, neurology and
And
emotion
neuroscience.
are not the same thing, my dude.
What? Where the hell do you think emotion comes from?
Where emotion comes from is not the same thing as what emotion is. Those are not the same thing. Those are two completely different ontological questions.
Okay, go ahead and defend that claim. Okay, where it comes from is not the same as what it is. What is the difference between those two things?
Where something comes from and what something is.
Right. Okay.
Where
let's
something
talk
comes
about
from is where it
emotion.
originates. What something is a description of the object in and of itself, independent of where it came from, where it's going,
So
or how it's used.
I think you guys need to pay attention to chat right now.
Okay, what's happening here? Let's see.
I think we would need to stop using the R word because it's becoming unsettling.
Yeah. Yeah, that was why I shut you guys the fuck up and suggested you use the M word. It's like, Jesus Christ, because obviously the R word is much more powerfully ingrained into our limbic system than anything else. And it doesn't matter if you're describing the limbic system or you're talking about what the limbic system is or how it works. It's the same fucking thing.
Well, I mean, we can use an analog for that word, but I don't think saying that is wrong is a problem. I don't understand where that's an issue.
Well, for one thing, it'll probably it could get my video taken down.
That's what I said. We can use a different word if you'd like. I just don't understand why when we're talking about morality. This is an act that is immoral in every instance.
So you would say that that the immorality of grape is something intrinsic to the act.
That's why I asked for the definition.
I don't know what it means
we were
for
using
actions.
to describe morality, because that was important to this point.
Yeah, I don't hold to like a deontological view of morality where the wrongness or rightness of an action is intrinsic to the action.
Well, it's harmful in every case.
It depends on what we mean by harmful.
Again, that's why
that
definitions are important.
term.
That's fine. I digress. I'll leave it alone. This isn't my place to decide, and I'm not going to.
Yeah, what just happened here is that we ended up bringing in a new word, harmful, and then we come up with it, and then we're going to come up with some counterfactual mongering, where basically when we consider the well-being of the human race, well, we can't define it that way because X, Y, Z, and it goes on and on and on. And that's why I'm saying we need to ground it in neuroscience. We need to ground it in what we are as organisms. I don't care fuck all about descriptions and about lofty concepts that get wound around the lamppost. All I care about is finding a grounding for this stuff, basically. Have you been sad?
Well, I misunderstood what the conversation was about. My bad.
Well, I was trying to demonstrate that I don't think it's true to say that certain things are always, only, ever bad.
Oh, anyway.
Well, that's what I say. If you're gonna,
well,
like the example used, you can nitpick some down to say, well, there could be an exception. That's ultimately the argument, that you can find an exception, even if it's ridiculous. There's an exception.
I mean, we can go to murder. Would it be okay to murder Hitler before he had the ability to kill 6 million Jews?
Counterfactual mongering. There we go. Okay, let's see. Anyway, yeah, okay. Again, it is the Cartesian product of actions, context, and which animal's doing it. And you're going to end up with a good or bad version for all things that we consider moral. So anything that we consider moral is going to have that binary, where we say we have a function that we can apply to this Cartesian set, and we could say, that's good or bad, okay, in this context. And what isn't covered in this, Leo? If we know the organism,
what do you mean by good and bad?
By good and bad, it would be what do I mean by good and bad? Organisms have valence, right? They move toward what is good, and they move away from what's bad.
Yeah, but what do you mean by good?
That's what I mean by good.
But you used the word in the definition of the word. I want to know what you mean by good.
I'm
saying that we move towards the good assumes the word good.
It has a positive valence. You would move toward it.
But there's some people that move toward things we would consider bad.
That's because of the context and because of what animal we're talking about. Okay, it's covered there. There's
it still isn't telling
basically we have a function right here. Okay, that can take any element from my Cartesian set here, goes into that function, and it turns it into a G, B, or a don't care situation, one or the other. How do I do a don't care? I forgot how to do don't cares. How do you write down don't care? I forgot. I don't know. Anyway.
Don't care would be something like
No, you can do it for truth tables. There's like doesn't apply. NA. Oh, NA. That's what I want. NA. Okay. Okay. So it's either going to, if it is a moral, it's going to have a GB rendition. We're going to move toward it. Or we're going to move away from it. It's very simple. You can watch bacteria do it, Leo.
Yeah, but that's just reaction to stimuli. What's moral about that?
That's how we created this whole good bad morality construct in our heads. Something that we move toward or something that we move away from.
But
We're
that doesn't
talking
answer
about
the question. That's just reactionary. I consider morality to be normative. Where are the norms?
What does normative mean?
Relating to evaluation, relating to preferences, things like that.
Okay, relating to reason.
Well,
you're
not really. It's more like an evaluative process. Against
okay, an evaluative process. You mean like my function here, good or bad?
No.
Is okay?
That seems to just be descriptive, or it's just describing something. Normativity doesn't describe; it prescribes.
You said evaluate. You said evaluate. Don't you evaluate the value of a function? It's going to either be good or bad.
Do you think that evaluating a function in math means the same thing as what it means in fucking normativity? Clearly not. Evaluate means to solve for in mathematics. Normativity is not solving for things.
No. Functions are about solving for. Functions are about moving from one set to another.
But when you evaluate them, that's what it means in math.
You know what a characteristic function is?
A character, I've heard the term. I couldn't tell you what it is off the top of my head.
Okay, it's usually a binary function that divides something into a 0 or a 1 or good or bad or whatever. So it divides it up. So this function is not about solving a value. We're not talking about solving things. We're talking about all things in this set, basically, this Cartesian product, can go into that function. And we're going to end up with an NA, which means that there is no representative value for that particular element, right? That does not map to the output set, or it's a moral, which means it's either good or bad, which means we will move toward it or we will move away from it. That's pretty goddamn simple, and that's pretty precise.
Yeah, and anything I don't see how morality comes from
bringing in the word normative and then telling me that normative is an evaluation. I mean, that's
not. I said it relates to evaluation.
You're kicking the ball down the road.
No, I'm not.
Okay, normative would be a function that basically.
What the fuck do you mean by function? See, like this is just. I don't even know where you're at right now. That's not what normativity means. That's not what
I'm talking about. Mapping one set of things to another set. That's what a function.
And that's not what morality does. Morality is not mathematical.
Okay, what does morality do?
Morality is a normative feature.
Okay, we have a situation. I drive down and wring your neck. Okay, that's the action. Okay, I drive 200 miles south, wring your neck. That's the action. Okay, how does normativity figure that out? How does normativity apply to that?
Because you made evaluations against your stances to determine the ways in which you should act or behave. That's what normativity is.
So whether or not I should drive down and wring your neck or not
is determined by your evaluation against stances. Yes, you have stances, and you evaluate your actions or behaviors against those stances to determine what it is you should do.
Okay, and when you fill in a value, when you have a function f of x and you evaluate it based on x equals 3, is that not called an evaluation?
That's not normative. No. Again, what evaluation means in math is not what it means with normativity. They are clearly different.
That rests my case. Okay, what's happening in chat?
You got lots of people in chat. I saw 100 messages go by a while ago.
Holy shit.
And there's a bunch of people on both of our channels.
We apparently used the R word as an example for way too long because people were objecting to it, and we persisted.
Yeah, things were going great till then. Gosh.
And I was I was basically out of the room, so I didn't see half of it.
I avoided using the R word, and I used it a lot a couple weeks ago in the stream where I was talking about agreeing with Randall Rouser against Gavin Ortland, where Gavin Ortland was being an apologist for kinds of. And I used the R word repeatedly, and people told me, okay, yeah, you're right, but stop using that word. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. So then I ended up taking that stream down. I just set it to private because I got to go back and edit that out because the algorithm is gonna beat the crap out of me for using that word, no matter how I used it.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people also that are pretty sensitive to that, and that's what he's guilty of. And I kind of feel like if you're going to point out something that's really unethical and really horrible that an apologist is doing, you probably don't want to use the soft words because you want to drive home the fact that they're doing something so disgusting that it warrants a strong response.
Yeah, but,
But
why the fuck doesn't murder work? Murder's really bad. I don't like murdering people. I really don't.
Well,
I
I
mean,
tried that, but then you just ignored it.
part of the problem is that there's never going to be somebody in the chat who's been murdered before. This is they aren't dealing with that, right? Hey, I've been murdered several times before, so don't talk about murder. That's not a thing.
my
right.
daughter was murdered.
Murder survivors,
Right?
murder victims aren't complaining in chat because they're dead.
Yeah, I mean, I could complain. My daughter was murdered. I understand how bad that is.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. But people don't have the same emotional response to that. Now, I myself have been the victim of FSA when I was younger. And so, it hits home for me, but I don't have the same response to words as some people do. It's just wired in me differently, the words themselves.
So Scott,
but I understand people's objection.
So Scott, you agree with me that a lot of this stuff is just bullshit.
Yeah, but you haven't shown how. You just made the claim.
No, I did show how. If you go back over and listen to what I talked about when you said, okay, normativity is evaluation, and I showed you what a function does.
Again, that's not what I said. That's
what a philosopher would
I
say.
said. Yeah, it is what a philosopher said because they've actually studied this. They've made an attempt to understand it.
Oh, and I haven't. You know everything about what I've read.
So which philosophers have you read as it comes to moral philosophy?
Moral philosophy?
Yeah.
Well, epistemology, which is related.
Epistemology doesn't have a very strong relation to moral philosophy.
Actually, no, I don't think I've actually read an entire book on ethics because I've always steered away from it. I always hated it until I realized it's just biology. Now I'm really interested in it because it's biology. Because I'm not interested in its fluffy bullshit.
It's descriptive, not normative, so I don't know it. I'll fully explain what morality
Biology is descriptive and not normative. Biology is
typing aloud.
Is somebody typing? No, somebody's moving around the microphone.
It sounds like a keyboard to me, like a muffled keyboard sound or something like that.
Well, I was doing some typing because somebody like Nerdy wrote it mentioned cannibalism and
oh my God.
The morality of it, and then I pointed out I was typing that and I misspelled everything. Empirical, talking about the empire impose their will on them. There were several societies that did cannibalism practice in their various cultures. Not that it wasn't necessarily, but many of them it was a way to remember and continue to be their ancestry, because they were taking, like a relative would die and they would all participate in cannibalism in order to bring all the good things about them, their spirit, their memory, into themselves. And then, of course, there were those who would enemies in war because they thought that power, whatever power they had would become, imperial. I'm sorry, Andrew. My typing was horrible there. But, that's a situation where I think just about everybody now considers cannibalism to be immoral, but there were societies in which it just was not. It was a good thing in a particular context.
Not for Bigfoots. That's why you don't find Bigfoot bodies, because they eat the dead.
I want to address Kentucky Atheist here, okay? Unjustified
I'm
killing.
serious.
Unjustified killing gives context to killing, which the other didn't. Let's say, okay, that's the point I was making, that context isn't always needed. And my point with that is context is always needed, But in some cases, the entire context is wrong. It's wrong all of the time. That there would be just a few tiny little edge cases where you could possibly find out, find it to be right. So context is always important. When we talk about morals, we're always talking about a specific action that's occurring, that we plan to occur, or that has occurred in the past. And it has a specific context. It has a specific individual that's enacting it and a specific action. You take those three things and it exhausts the entire field of all human actions. And within that, we have a subset that we call morality. Basically, these are things that result in a good or bad evaluation. And that would be normative under Leo.
You still never told me what you mean by good or bad.
I told you, moving towards something, organisms move towards something or away from something.
Yeah, but there are instances where people move towards things that would largely be considered bad. So that can't be a meaningful or an informative definition of what good or bad are.
They move towards things that always, well, yeah. Okay, that means that they've done something wrong. If they're moving towards something bad, then
yeah, but they don't think they've done something wrong.
Well, it doesn't matter what they think.
I think it does, clearly.
It matters who's doing the evaluation, right?
Not always, no.
I suppose we could create another context here where we have who's doing the evaluation. So we have the evaluator, because some people are going to look at cannibalism and say, hey, that was tasty. And other people are going to look at some other animal doing cannibalism and they're going to say, oh, that was wrong. So, yeah, we could step out a level and we could talk about evaluating. But
I don't know why this is so difficult. Like, good to me is just what ought to occur or what ought to be permitted, all things considered. And bad, or like say evil, is just what ought not to occur or what ought not to be permitted, all things considered.
Okay,
I just take them to be normative terms, normative notions.
Then you have a good notion of what good and bad is, and you know what my function does. It evaluates that.
But see, you haven't stated that that's your usage of good and bad. That's how I use them.
Mine is more
philosophers use them.
Mine is more reductive. Okay, the organism moves towards something or away from something. So we have a minus and a plus. One thing is good, one thing is bad.
Yeah,
bad
but I've already shared a defeater to that.
What was your defeater?
That people can move towards things that otherwise are considered bad. So them moving toward it doesn't make it good.
They wouldn't move toward it if it wasn't good for them.
But people do that all the time.
They do. And that's the problem.
That obviously can't be an informative definition then.
I think it's really informative. Like some people will go out and murder, and it is really bad for them because it will sit in their conscience. It will get them judged.
But it doesn't for some people. There are multiple people that we know did not care that they killed other people, that they murdered other people.
I think
like you're like assuming that there's some intrinsic morality that is exactly the same that's built into everybody. That's clearly false. History can show us that's false.
Well, that would be a really, really reductive way to look at it, right? Like there's always a GB, basically that basically covers every action that the organism's going to do. I don't think so.
Well, I don't think morality covers all of our actions because I don't think all of the actions
and
behaviors that humans engage in is moral.
Okay, the Cartesian set here, there's a subset that basically we would call moral. And that's kind of like, that's something that's very subjective with us. There's probably some culture where cannibalism is just like pineapples on pizza, you know. I mean, not everybody's going to agree with what we choose to be a moral question.
Of course, I agree with that. I'm an anti-realist.
Yep, there you go. How about
the view that you're trying to express here seems like an attempt at a realist view.
Yeah, a semi-realist view, because I think it is grounded in the nature of us as organisms, what turns out being right and wrong. And I think people are very different in that they can basically convince themselves with reason that something is right when inside of them everything is screaming, this is wrong. And that's what the Christians mean.
But see, that seems almost contradictory, because if their stances are informing them that something is right, then I don't know how their stances could, in the same sense and at the same time, inform them that something is wrong, to create that internal feeling of, well, this is wrong, but I'm going to do it anyway. Either that, or the agent is merely acting irrationally.
Is survival right or wrong?
What do you mean by right or wrong?
Is it right for like when some of these one single-celled organisms group together for the betterment of the whole?
Well, to me, that's all just descriptive, so I wouldn't use moral language to describe that.
So right or wrong is limited to consciousness?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's morality is an evaluative aspect of humans.
And Mike, you go the opposite, right? You go that it's natural, right?
I wasn't paying attention. I was reading a chat. What was the question?
Yeah, see how you are?
I know. I'm trying to pay attention to chat this time because it's really.
That's right. That's right. I see Maya there congratulating you on 700.
Okay.
I was asking if it's right or wrong in a survival situation, like when single-celled organisms group together for the betterment of the whole.
Yeah, that's.
Leo says it's more a matter of when you have a consciousness level rather than just a.
Well, morality, I don't think morality is descriptive. I think it's prescriptive. Morality doesn't describe things, it prescribes things.
So you don't think that animals have any basic morality?
Not like humans do, no.
Not like humans. Yeah.
I don't think that they have. When a lion kills a zebra, the lion is not evaluating its stances to determine, is what I'm going to do right or wrong or good or evil? It's hungry, so it's going to attack the zebra and kill it and eat it.
Yeah, I admit humans are psychotic in that we have this reasoning ability over everything else, and we can do these evaluation things that are much more complex. But I think chimpanzees can do a little bit of that too.
Well, what about when they're acting more like in protecting their young and stuff rather than?
I think that's largely.
Obviously, they have to eat.
What did you say that was, Leo?
I think that's largely reactionary. It's a reaction of the creature to protect its young.
That's stimulus, and I'm saying a lot of our morality is the same way.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that's clearly wrong, because I don't think morality is something merely stimulatory. I think it's evaluative.
Yeah, you got a fluffy philosophical opinion about normativity.
That most people, well, normativity is a philosophical
most
concept.
people. Don't give me most people, Leo.
But it's true. I mean, well, actually, most people don't know fuck all about morality because most people don't read it or study it or anything like that, which is why people like, say, Lance Bush, including myself, in fact, disagree with this idea that most people have like moral realist intuitions. In fact, a lot of studies have shown that most people actually have more anti-realist intuitions about morality. So yeah, I don't think that most people really have a strong understanding of like morality in the ontological sense. And it's not like because everybody's stupid. It's just the average person doesn't read about this. They don't study it. Just like the average person doesn't know anything about quantum field theory because they don't read it. They don't study it. Why would they? It's useless to them. They don't have a reason to.
What about when different species come to humans for help? Why are they doing that? Do they have
no
some
idea.
thought that they can get help?
I have no idea.
Yeah, my cat comes to me for help every night at 3 a.m. Feed me.
Well, like that, there was recently that there was a mother whale caught in a net, and the calf came up to this boat, and it kept bumping into the boat and acting all weird. And they're like, "What's going on?" And they had some divers on board, luckily, and they jumped in, and the mother was all wrapped up in a net. So it's just kind of, do they have some kind of thought that boat full of people could help?
Yeah, I disagree with this, Daniel. Animals do have different animals and differing levels, but I think particularly dogs. I think dogs like.
We know that dogs can feel guilt. I think cats can as well.
I don't know, but these fucking 3 cats. I guess they can.
Well, there was a dog that
I wish maybe Guts at Giving
Drag-
had covered this before. Maybe I wish she would do like a video on feelings of guilt and possible analogs, at least, to moral behavior in grade A, or should I say other grade A's?
there was a dog that was pulling an injured dog out of traffic.
She's talked
Yeah.
about it before.
Yeah, there's a that's what I mean. There's something about mammals, basically, particularly, that have an inborn morality. And you'll find it in every species. You'll find traces of it. And I think with humans, it has gotten to the point where basically it's become interwoven with our rationality to the point where it becomes very, very complex. And it confuses us because we aren't smart enough to understand how smart we are. Humans are smarter than they should be for their own fucking good. And that's what it meant when Adam and Eve bit the apple in the garden.
That's one of the philosophers was talking about that we only have other humans to talk to.
Yeah.
When we talk about, what would we say if aliens landed here, and it's like, we don't have any idea. It's like, because we have no experience at talking to anybody but other humans.
Yeah. Aliens would understand my valence thing that an organism moves toward or away from something good. We would almost have the same thing.
You'll be justified when they land.
Wait, so you're saying that if an organism moves toward something, it's good?
For the yeah,
Well,
if
is it or
So
is
if
it
a
good?
man moved toward murdering
Hey,
his
wait a
wife
minute, what-
because she cheated on him,
Leo.
is that good?
Leo, what if the little fucking amoeba is moving up a gradient towards something that's good
That's
for
not-
it,
That's not.
and there's
related
a
to my
rock in the
question.
way?
I'm trying
What
to run a
happens
line
if
of
there's a
reasoning.
rock in the
here.
way? Leo, what happens if there's a rock?
I'm not
in the
going to
way?
answer your question. I'm trying to run a line of reasoning here. Do you think when an organism moves toward something, that makes that something good?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so when a man moves toward murdering his wife because she cheated on him, that's good.
Depends on the
Yes.
I gave you the context. The woman cheated on her husband, and the husband wants to kill her for it. Is that good?
Is that good because he wants to?
No, is it good? He's moving toward that as his decision. Is that good?
No, I'd
Because
say
according to
overall,
how you defined good, where we move
It's
toward
bad.
something, so
I'd
then
say-
that's an immediate defeater to that definition. If this person is moving toward something, you're saying that when we move toward something, that makes that something good, but you just said that this man moving toward this particular decision is bad. So that can't be an accurate or an informative definition of what it means to be good. That is
Okay,
a
the
defeater, an
organism-
undercutting defeater to that definition.
Okay. But it's much more complicated than that, Leo. There are reasons why, okay, there's an organism moving towards something that's good, but now the organism is full. Okay, it starts to fill up, so the organism quits moving. So he's at neutral valence, right? Or maybe there's a situation where he has to go around a rock and he has to go negative, right? So I mean, but at the base of it, it is moving toward or away from something. There's valence in biology, and that's where it comes from.
That's fine.
Now we start to build complex organisms on top of this. We're going to end up at the very pinnacle with reason, and that's where humans get confused.
Well, morality is a
Scott?
specific type of reasoning, a specific type of normative reasoning. Yes.
Hey, Scott.
Yes.
Scott. It's
I'm here.
definitely your microphone sending. It's definitely your microphone sending that noise.
I apologize. I will hit mute.
No
Sounds
worries.
it sounds like a herd of elephants.
Yeah, what are you wiggling around or what the fuck? Okay,
I'm responding to Daniel about something, and I was typing away, pleased with myself, and apparently when I'm pleased with myself, I type heavy. So once again, I apologize.
I do the same thing. Absolutely.
That's a big keyboard.
Bad.
I think we all do the same thing, don't we? When we're either
Oh,
angry
no.
or we're like, oh, I got this guy now, we start typing way more vigorously.
Yeah, my kids describe it as me attacking the keyboard. That's how they put it.
So Daniel, this thing about we only feel bad if we could have done otherwise. No, we feel guilt like fucking for things that we couldn't do anything about at all. I mean, I can think of situations in my life where guilt has almost killed me, and it wasn't anything that I could have done anything about. So
I'm just curious. Leo, are you familiar with T-Jump's moral theory about people generally, humanity as a species moving towards something, and that being the objective basis for morality? Have you engaged with him
I
on
am
that?
familiar with his moral view. I have not directly engaged with him, but his moral view, as has been pointed out by, I believe, more than one professional philosopher that he's spoken to, one of them being Alex Malpass, it is highly, highly problematic. And that's
fair.
because, by his own admission, he says that his moral system is not normative, it contains no oughts, and then it's just not a moral system at that point.
That's a good point. So my objection, the problem I have with, because I'm a moral anti-realist, but the reason that I'm not comfortable with saying something like morality is just people's preferences is because the implication of mere preference is what's carried in the expression, even if you don't mean mere. People just
I don't think it
understand
is.
it. I think most people hear it that way if you say it.
Yeah, I think that's probably because most people just really aren't familiar with moral philosophy. But yeah, I think morality fundamentally reduces to the preferences that people have, more specifically the stances that people have, that people reason about what they're going to do or not do based on their stances, their beliefs, their desires, their aims, or their goals. And I think that
Sure.
when people sit back and think about it, that makes sense. What guides our conduct, what guides our actions are our stances, and more specifically, the things that we consider desirable or good. You know, if you're
Right.
hungry, it's good to go make food. The hungriness and you thinking that it's good to make food when you're hungry guides you into the kitchen to make food.
Sure.
What if you're on a diet?
That has nothing to do with it. That sits at a level completely removed from where I'm at.
Well, it's going to add context to it. You know, it's going to add some more context to it. It might be.
Well,
and-
it
and
doesn't really add context because all that means is that the type of food that you're making, it might be different, but the type of food you're making is not relevant to the fact that you're going to make food when you're hungry.
Hey, Leo, this is probably an overly simplistic question, but can you differentiate between stance and preference for me?
Preferences are usually going to be type of stances, where stances are like the beliefs because a belief isn't necessarily a preference, especially if it's like knowledge. Like if you know that the sun emits electromagnetic radiation, that's not a preference, but that is a stance.
Okay.
So preferences are types of stances, usually going to be related to opinions, things like that.
Okay, thanks.
And Sydney was saying, with our society and our own pressures, and there's a lot of difference too when you take us out of nature. So there's like, again, this is the line of how advanced we have gotten, but it wasn't that long ago where we were just tackling a zebra like the lion. You know what I mean? For some to eat.
Yep, not that long ago.
You know.
Garden of Eden, man. Eating the apple. Wasn't that long ago. What, 200,000 years? Maybe a million? Not sure. And it happened gradually. I think it took like 500,000 years for mankind to eat the apple, basically.
Top Dog wanted a wrench. You got a wrench.
Why didn't you have a wrench? Wait,
No, that's my channel, my
oh,
channel.
okay.
You got a wrench there, Top Dog. Hello, tons of mice. Good to see you.
Tons of mice.
Tons of mice.
Tons of mice.
Lots and lots and lots.
I personally believe that would be some sort of pseudo type of guilt, though I don't. Yeah, it ain't pseudo guilt. You still feel guilty. You have the same. I think it's the same limbic mechanism. Basically, it makes you feel guilty overall. But it's kind of complicated. There's who the hell is Antonio Damasio made the distinction between feelings and emotions. So emotions are basically raw input from your reptile brain, sort of, that, like anger, fear, whatever. And feelings are what happens when it goes into your cortex and does a couple of laps around the block, and you add all sorts of nuance to the emotion. And then it actually, there's a circuit there's an actual circuit that we can see that goes from the limbic system to the cortex and then back again to the limbic system. And that's why when you get mad at somebody and you start thinking about it, you get madder and madder and madder, and you put yourself in that loop. And that loop is really interesting because it also has a lot to do with addiction. The same loop is followed with an addictive behavior, and that's why it becomes obsessive. And we're learning a little bit about how all that shit works, but it's just fucking wiring, just neurons, just chemicals bumping into chemicals. We need to quit taking ourselves so seriously.
I gave a couple other folks that are regulars there a wrench too, so I'll post a link or whatever.
Yeah, what the fuck? Is there? I think everybody's got a wrench on my channel. Everyone, except for Daniel. Daniel sounds like you could be a Christian. You're a Christian, Daniel, but you seem like a pretty decent guy.
Or maybe a moral realist. I don't know. Maybe before we have Daniel on to chat with.
We got to get Lance Bush on here to straighten us out on this moral realism thing. But I think he pretty much agrees with me on context, that you can never just say, oh, what happens when a lion eats a lamb or whatever. Like you always have to consider that's not going to compare to one human killing another, because you have very different animals in very different contexts. And so you always have to have a specific, very specific situation. And even then, you're going to end up having trouble evaluating that GB function. You're going to have a hell of a time sometimes. Like, do I pull a switch and kill one guy to save 8 or not?
He'd agree with you that, because he's also an anti-realist, that, there's going to be context there that's going to inform how we're evaluating the situation. But I don't think he would agree that it's got to be super specific. Like, if I said stealing is wrong, that's not a specific instance of stealing, despite the fact that most people would still agree with it, that stealing is wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when I add animals to context, basically, because animal is part of the context, which individual it is that's committing the act, then it kind of covers everything. So context could subsume which organism is committing the act, but I choose to separate them for reasons.
Yeah, what Lance would say is that when we're talking about like a lion and a gazelle, a lion is not a moral agent, nor is a gazelle. So these kinds of questions just kind of fall short in these instances.
Scott's having a conversation again.
I'm sorry.
I was just going to mute you, Scott, because I could see your little fucking icon blowing up and the elephant noise. Anyway.
Right. So one of my favorite examples of the primates is the two monkeys in the cages, right? And they're not even in the same cage. They're not related. There's not like a mother and a child or anything. And the scientist is giving them unequal amounts of grapes as rewards or something like that for tasks. And then one of them starts objecting and throwing a fit because he's getting more than the other one. Not because he's getting less, because he's getting more. And he's trying to give the other monkey some of his grapes to keep it even. And I'm not really sure like what underlies that behavior.
I want that monkey on my team every time.
Probably some sort of cooperativist aspect to their. They're not like humans. Humans are an intrinsically cooperative species. Like, we want to work with each other, and in virtue of that, ensuring that things are more equitable is going to do better, is going to do more for that cooperation than unfairness.
Yeah, there was a pair of birds, and a lot of birds mate for life. And the female had I don't know what happened, but a big chunk of her beak was cut off. And the male would bring her food. So it's pretty amazing.
By the way,
you can't hunt, I'll get you food. It's like, well, what are they thinking?
By the way, Dr. Dan at Daniel Stern Cardinal of Creation Myth fame pretty soon, it's scheduled on his YouTube. We'll be doing a probably about an hour-long presentation on how evolution explains altruism, which is kind of related to what we're talking about right now.
Nice.
I think everybody needs to go
I got
subscribe
that in.
to this and get a notification for that particular lecture.
I got mine.
I'm sure you've got a link for me, Scott, but I'll go ahead and make one. Never mind. I'll do it myself. Where is it? Mahayanis? Okay. Dr. Dan. Okay, guys.
He scheduled a handful of them coming up. So he's got
Really?
yeah.
Andrew, have you read 1984?
I have. It's fucking dark. I read it a long time ago. What the hell?
You said kin selection. I don't know what that means.
Kin selection? Trolley problem has a problem.
Yeah, just pull the lever halfway and derail the trolley. How about that? I got a Captain Kirk mentality on that one.
Creation myths. Oh, there it is. I have too many channels.
Yeah. You were asking me earlier to find nitties, and it's like, oh,
Yeah,
Christ,
Said most
give
of
me,
them. Okay.
give me
Good
a
man.
few, would you?
Yeah, Nitty's new channel is named N_Damon for some fucking reason.
Is that a brand new channel? Or did he just rename the channel he already has?
It's a brand new channel. You can't get to the old channel. The old channel was Nadimos, wasn't it?
Yeah, Nitty Most.
Well, and then he
I think-
changed it to, I think, Nitty.
I think that's private or something now. Yeah, seems to be going with the other channel.
How evolution explains altruism. Okay, one day ago. Okay, so he did how evolution explains virulence. Let's see, altruism.
I've
Here
got the
we go.
link right
Got it.
here.
Oh, you do? You do?
Yeah, I just posted the raw link in the side chat. I'll do up a nicer one for the description.
Okay. Well, I got it right here too. Let's see here. Okay, come on, copy video. Snack. What do you want, Snack? Snack needs attention. I'm gonna have to go. He wants something. He's going meow meow. Poor Snack. Are you dying? The kitty's dying.
I put the link in my chat too there.
Okay. I'm a little behind on everything.
Oh, the cat always like mine does. My cat's got a automatic feeder because we can't feed her too much at once or she just barfs, right? So you got to feed her a little bit during the day, and trying to keep up is impossible. So we got one of the feeders that's got a half a dozen rounds on it or something. So
Yeah.
during the day she can have her little bites and that, but yeah, she'll still be licking her chops and she's coming up to me meow, and it's like, aren't you still licking your chops?
Yeah, so I got a problem with Snack because if I give him food and he doesn't eat it all, it's old now. It's stale, so he won't eat it. And his food costs like $2 a can. And it's like, you little fucker. So I have to only feed him as much as he eats. But anyway. Oh, God, Scott created me a link. Hi, thank you, Scott.
You're welcome.
What am I doing this work for when I got Scott? Okay, guys, I kind of want to shoot her in the head.
Well, I think we met our goal of being unprofessional, Mike.
We did. Matthew, yeah,
So
I think we covered
think,
it.
But whatever moral system you espouse, we did good.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot.
I'll be looking forward to that discussion with Lance Speed.
Yeah, I'd like to have a discussion with Lance. He's been he's in the middle of a whole lot of stuff, so he hasn't had time to do anything. So anyway, but I did reach out to him and I made a comment on one of his blogs, kind of like laying some of this stuff out, and I just wanted to run it by him.
You guys had a great discussion when you were over there talking with him.
Yeah,
a few months
it's
back.
always fun to talk to. Okay, guys, we're going to shoot her in the head. Everybody say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
And I just want to put one more quote up here that we can leave with. So